Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning, Belize. Thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Monday morning.
How is it going for you?
I've not seen you on the couch in a while. It's good to have you.
It's good to have you as well. It's good to be with you. I think it's always a joyous occasion when we get to be together on set. I know for last week, it was Isani
and I that spent were running on
the most time on the set. So I know it's a relief for our viewers to wake up on Monday morning and not have to see that face.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, I always said that this is something that we talk about when we're discussing who should be on camera, right? And I always say that, yes, it's always good to have that balance of a man's opinion and a woman's opinion. But personally, for my own entertainment, I enjoy watching you and Isani kind of have this head-to-head because it's still difference of opinions.
Of course. Nobody, we don't always share the same views and all the same topics. And so it's good when we're able to hash things out with opposing opinions. And I know that our viewers oftentimes too, they put in their own opinions when they're chatting on the Facebook, or sometimes they may just be sitting in the couch and be like, Isani, what you to say? Or Paul, what you to say? You're wrong. And some people just engage with us like that. And so we want to thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for making Open Your Eyes the morning show of choice, regardless of what you're doing right now. Whether you're coming in from your workout, you're pouring your first cup of coffee, you're rolling over and turning on the morning show, we thank you for choosing us every single morning and for engaging in these discussions with us.
Can I say, every time you open with that, I'm usually having my first cup of coffee.
There you go.
I hear Paul saying I'm just pouring on my in my cup like,
you the spy for me. Where it come from?
But of course, viewers, it is always a pleasure for us to be here with you every single day.
Yeah.
And to give you the what's buzzing here. It's been a long weekend. Well, I always feel like every weekend is long when I come in on Mondays because so much happens between Saturday and Sunday, and then I said I can't wait for Monday to come.
And there's a lot to talk about with Eye on the News. But before we get there, like you said, we want to talk about what's buzzing. And over here at Channel 5, one of the biggest of the largest buzzes is KTV, the Remix Season 5 finale show. It all goes down on Tuesday night inside the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts.
Tomorrow, August 22nd.
Yeah.
At the Bliss for Performing Arts at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Everyone is, all roads lead to the Bliss.
Every single one of them.
And we are here on our seats. We had the finalists last week. They're all wonderful finalists. I can't tell you who I think is going to win because I really don't know. The competition is stiff. There's going to be a red carpet. We're going to have guest performers, Paul, past KTV winners and finalists as well will be there to engage with our finalists, to engage with the audience. It's going to be one for the books.
We're going to have some amazing Belizean artists. I understand Stig the artist is going to be in the house.
Marlon Vanson is going to be in the house.
The father of one of the contestants, if I'm not mistaken, is that Titiman Flores is going to be there. That's Swami's dad. And we saw him during the feature last week Tuesday of her profile. We saw him featured in that. And I know that we have TLC band as well.
And you don't know when
and when
TLC
band come in,
it's
they
over.
rock up the place. I just need KTV to get it together so that they have no complaints. I'm just kidding. That's just a joke there for TLC. And we also have the judges performing.
You know,
so,
we always
you know,
love it when our
people
judges
always
battle
ask
it
because
out. Yeah.
especially Alexi. You know, he rough when it comes to scores and giving points. So people always ask in the comments, but Alex, you could sing, you could perform, what you could do? And so they'll see. For those who don't know, they'll see.
With Belizean fans, and this is something that I think we also have to sit with ourselves and realize, and we take these things here seriously at KTV and at Channel 5, where when we select our judges, it is because they are professionals. It is because they do know and they do understand the profession. So where one of them might not be a singer, they understand vocal tones. They understand how the sound is supposed to come out. And keys and notes. So, you know, as we are quick to say, well, you can't sing a tune, but they might study and understand how the tune goes.
So just to punctuate this conversation, perhaps, April, to say that tickets are already on sale.
Oh, yeah, they're flying.
And I had to take a deep breath for that one because they are flying off the shelves.
Yes.
The Bliss can only hold a certain amount of people, and after that,
I think about 500 people, and people are already calling in to reserve tickets for
like
100 people
spaces.
already. Yeah,
you can imagine that, and that in my mind, I'm thinking you have your supporters in terms of a competitor, and you have your busload of people coming from Sokotash. You know that Sokotash crowd. No play that crowd there. You know, 150 seats. Easily. And so if you want to get a seat in the live show,
now is
then you
the time
gotta
to
get your tickets now, and you could come right over here at Channel 5, purchase the ticket. It's only $5 for kids. For adults, sorry.
And $3 for children. You can't beat that. And of course, you can also get your tickets at 88 Shopping Center. So guys, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a packed show. Who is going to win KTV The Remix Season 5? You have to come in tomorrow to find out.
All right.
And
that was buzzing.
Yeah, and as we move on with our show for this morning, we're here to give you what we do every Monday, our Eye on the News. And of course, Paul, we had a lot happening this weekend, as you said, and I know that a lot of these topics were mentioned in our newscast Friday night, and of course, we moved into the weekend.
Right. So we're gonna start with what made headlines during the end of last week. We're talking about Thursday going into Friday, and that of course has to do with the area representative for Belize Rural South, if I'm not mistaken, Minister Andre Perez, the Minister of Blue Economy. He has been embroiled in somewhat of a scandal, and we've seen where, as a result of this scandal, the United Democratic Party has called for his resignation, alleging or accusing him of engaging in acts that is unbecoming of a minister, of a leader, a national leader, of a public official of his caliber. And so that's what's happening on one end, the UDP calling for the resignation of Minister Andre Perez. So why are they calling for his resignation? Well, the scandal is of a sexual nature. We'll just put that out there. There was an exchange of messages and images of a sexual nature between Minister Andre Perez and a well-known attorney. And we could say that this exchange happened because both individuals, it appears, has come out to reveal that this in fact happened. What, however, is perhaps one of the most damning thing about this entire story is that there's allegations of sexual harassment, there's allegations of threats involved in terms of this attorney making certain allegations that of sexual harassment and threats. Well, since Thursday when these allegations surfaced, and these are from text messages and exchanges that took place almost a year ago, in fact, more than a year ago, but these things have a way of resurfacing. These things have a way of coming back. So we sought a response from Minister Perez on Thursday, and there wasn't any response. But on Friday, in fact, like about half an hour before the newscast, there was a 7-page release. And it's interesting, I was discussing the release with the newsroom, and it's interesting the format in which the release was put together, constructed, and issued. It almost appears as if the author or authors of this release did the work for us in terms of putting it together as in an article forms with headings, subheadings, so you get the message clearly.
No questions asked.
With questions asked, quotes, quotations from the minister, as well as a brief explanation below those quotations. And we have the release, right? And I would like to start with the first page of the release. And this is the minister basically seeking to, in a sense, clear the air as to what transpired as it pertains to this situation. And in the first page, he outlines, and I'll try to read it as best as possible. He said, "I am most remorseful for the shame and pain I know I have brought on my wife, my children, and you, the people who voted for me and supported me." There you go, and supported me. "And I ask your forgiveness, and that all attacks be levied against me, but not my family nor my party," says Minister Andre Perez, who is prepared to come clean and explain what actually transpired. So there you have, as if somebody is taking a written statement, a verbal statement from him, writing it down, and attributing the statement to him. But apart from how the structure in which it is written, here you see a minister, which is not common in these cases, in a sense, falling on his sword, saying, yes,
I did this.
I did this.
Yeah.
This happened, and I'm the one to blame for it. Not denying that these messages are fabricated, whether it's the sexting that took place, the graphic images of a sexual nature that was shared. He's saying, yeah, I did it.
What's interesting though, Paul, is that yes, this is a statement that is outlining the series of events that took place, how he took part in it, and so forth, and why it's now coming up and resurfacing again. However, there is still the other side of the coin, right? That states this is somebody now that is on the other spectrum that is saying, well, I was being threatened. Well, now I am being sexually harassed.
No, we're gonna get there,
right?
And I wanted to take it a little bit by bit, and we're gonna get there. But I just wanted to continue to look at the statement because it's the latest development, and then we're gonna take a step back, because then he continues in the statement. If you move to the second page, he continues in the statement whereby he begins to further explain. How it, and this is his, like you're saying, this is his account. This is his side of the story. This is his side of what actually happened. And then we have to state that, as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any official, as I understand it, comment or release to the media necessarily from the attorney or the second party involved. It's more a matter of conversations with the media, certain leaks taking place.
But you know, this is getting ahead of the curve. This is taking the reins and taking ownership of the narrative.
Right. So this is taking, and clearly, this is what you want to do if you have a PR team behind you and a bunch of attorneys.
Yes.
Right. So it's good to put things in context like you're doing there. But I just wanted to go to this part. It says in the second page. This is the second page, or I don't know if mine is paged right above liquor license. It says again another quote, because these are these are the one that stands out. It says, "I wish to even apologize to Attorney Axelu, as I should have known better." So this is an apology, right? So here you have an apology. "Even if it was between two consenting adults, as I should have first considered my vows to my wife of 30 years, who have been my pillar and rock and still supports me despite my imperfection." Apologies to Axelu and acknowledgement to his wife. Now, so there you have him saying that, and I'd like your perspective on this, April. But I'll go just to the last paragraph here. It says, "I was wrong, and I wish I could undo the harm and shame I have caused to all, and especially now that I am compelled to come forward and address publicly what was a private act between two consenting adults, as I never wish to tell on any woman, as I am now forced to do in defending myself. I can assure all that there was never any." This is the part where he is now addressing the allegations, right? "I can assure all there was never any sexual harassment, no threats, and definitely never abused my office, despite her many requests, which most unfortunately I am now revealing." So there's three sides to a coin: your side, my side, and upon an investigation, the truth. What really happened here? Now, going back to when all is said and done, what is to happen to the minister? What's the consequences of such
His
actions?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're hearing him lay out that, all right, she was allegedly trying to get favors in return for my affection or whatever, or flattery, or sort of like drawing me in. Well, minister, the truth of the matter is you gave in.
Yeah.
Whatever you say was an attempt to, in terms of seduce you or to reel you in, well, you gave in. Knowing that, well, you have your wife, you have your kids. No, nobody is perfect, right? So we're not sitting on a holy pedestal here accusing anyone, but in terms of your public office and where you sit.
And that is where my questions are, because we have the text messages as we're showing on the screen right now, the conversations that transpired. So whatever he made in his statements, if this is the only proof that we have, we can relate to these messages, right? That's one.
Right. Well, he shares
right,
the messages.
He shares everything. And so, and two, did you abuse the public purse? Did you abuse your power in your seat to assist in whatever scandal you were doing? Because at the end of the day, these kinds of alleged scandals, or at the end of the day, these kinds of misconducts between men and women happen every day in society.
Yeah, everywhere.
Let's not pretend that, oh, this is the first time. Okay, come on.
I like
We've
that.
seen
You're
it.
being real.
We've done it. It's real and it's out there. If you ask any woman how much time they think their man cheat on them, ladies, let's be real. So at the end of the day, I want to kind of just brush that part aside and talk about why is it that the UDP is asking for his removal in office. And my questions are, again, did he abuse the public purse? Did he use his office and his place of power to assist in this shenanigan? Did he in any way use public purse to, you know, fuel his gas to go see her, to fuel his boat to go see her, to fuel any plane to spend time with her? These are the things that I'm interested in, because at the end of the day, if you're abusing your power to assist you in that shenanigans, then all right, we need to see the receipts. And that is where my perspective lies. And when it comes to the allegations of sexual abuse and threats, naturally, I need to also see that so that I am able to. There needs to be a proper investigation. And as for now, he needs to step aside so that the investigation can fully be done.
I will say that this release is not one to let you off the hook. It's, but I will also say it's commendable to come out.
Yeah.
And to kind of pave the way for, and I wish more public of leaders would do such things like this, come out and give us a statement, give us something, and not just hide behind the curtains when the heat comes down on you. So, of course, this is one story that we'll continue to follow this week, leading into the newscast for this week. But April, I want to switch topics really quickly. I know we could spend a lot of time on that because it's a 7-page release. But moving into a very disturbing image that gained a lot of traction regionally. We're talking about the Central America region. And that has to do with a group of what appears to be teenagers, along with several adults, painting themselves in like a black paint.
They did blackface.
Well, I don't know what their intention was, but they painted themselves black to represent what appears to be the Garifuna culture.
Yeah, it looks like it was a cultural presentation of some sort.
We have
because
an image of it.
There was more than just that image, because I looked further into it and it looked like they were doing a cultural dance. It looks like they were doing cultural food. Yes, so it looked like it was a cultural day of some sort, and these women, clearly, disrespectfully painted themselves to represent the Garifuna culture. And the first thing that came into my mind was that in Guatemala there is a prominent Garifuna community. So why do this? And at this very moment, we are engaged in a long project, not just Belize, but several other countries in Central America, including Guatemala. We are engaged in the safeguarding of Afro-descendant heritage in our region. We are all in one area, including Cuba and the Dominican Republic. We're all coming together to see how we can prevent things like this. So for that to happen, it's clearly something that we need to look into more. It's disrespectful, it's disheartening, because at the end of the day, there's a vibrant population of Garifuna persons living in Guatemala, and this is clearly a misconduct of education. How can you allow this? Because you're clearly adults standing right there in that photograph.
I mean, when I saw the image, I was appalled. I was blown away, and I know that social media users, they too were blown away by it. I saw a couple of video commentaries on the image. In one comment section, there were suggestions that this was not in Belize, but that this was in fact
that was in Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Yes.
So there. It was in Guatemala that this took place, and it's very reminiscent or resembling the blackface, which is a racist act. In terms of imitating and mimicking
somebody of color,
right? And so definitely a poor choice a poor decision, and I don't know that the intention was that, and I would imagine that these teenagers were ill-advised.
Right, and that's why I say it goes back to the misconduct of education, because here we have other activists within the Garifuna community trying to prevent these kinds of things from happening. And so that just is a testimony to the work that we have to do here in the region as well.
Yeah, definitely. So that's one that I would imagine will continue to be discussed.
Yes.
That these types of discourses begin and continue all over social media. But April, it would be unbecoming if we did not discuss a couple of the violent issues that took place over the weekend, because it was a very violent weekend when it comes to crime and murders. I know of at least three incidents that took place over the weekend. First, we're talking about a murder, shooting that took place right here on Coney Drive, almost a stone's throw away from our studios. That's the shooting death of 28-year-old Richard Borja. He and his partner, they were in front of their apartment. Imagine, you're driving home and you're in front of your house, and you pull up and you park, and someone is there waiting you to pounce upon you, this sort of act that would eventually claim her life. So we saw that happen over the weekend, and I know that one of the things I know about Mr. Richard, because I've come in contact with him, is the fact that he was an avid volunteer with the Belize Red Cross.
Oh, wow.
And so he worked along them. He gave of his time and his service there, and that's actually where I interviewed him one time at the Belize Red Cross.
28 years old.
28 years old, and he's a businessman as well. So that's sad. To compound on the violence of the weekend, yesterday, going into Sunday, the lifeless body of a 15-year-old was discovered in Belize City. His name, let me get his name here. 15-year-old Nigel Ferguson was found murdered last night, in fact, in an abandoned house on Hunters Lane in Belize City. He was found with his throat slit, and so there you had that incident. And then there was actually a murder, a second murder of a minor in San Ignacio.
Yeah.
And we don't have the images of that one right now, but there was a shooting reported on the Branchmouth Road, and this minor, known as Kevin, was in a home where the shooting occurred. The shooters, they directed their attack towards this home where this minor was in, and unfortunately he got hit and he succumbed to those injuries. So here we have these loss of lives as a result of violence, and that's separate from the numerous fatal traffic accidents that took place over the weekend. I mean, it's just a rough weekend all around for these families and for their loved ones.
And of course, we here at Channel 5 send our condolences to all the families and the victims that have had just this horrible tragedy throughout the weekend. But you, of course, certainly can catch more of these stories and more in our newscast tonight at 6 p.m. live on Channel 5 or on YouTube. Paul, that does it for our Eye on the News. And as we move on with our show for this morning, Paul, it was a lovely drive this morning, and so we have the weather from the Belize Meteorological Service coming for you. It was a rainy weekend. I don't know if it was rainy in Belize City.
It rained
off and on, but I think that it kept the air cool. I didn't feel as hot as it's been these past couple of weeks. It's been a long summer. So I'm just hoping that they can give us some wonderful updates. So here is the weather for today.
Good morning. Relatively moist and unstable conditions continue over the region and will support a few showery outbreaks at times. The 24-hour forecast is for sunny skies with cloudy spells today and cloudy skies at times tonight. A few showers or thunderstorms will affect northern and inland areas after mid-morning, then coastal areas late tonight. Elsewhere, showers will be isolated. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight. High temperatures today will be around 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 94 inland, but only 81 degrees up in the mountains. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night is for cloudy skies at times with a few showers over most areas along with isolated thunderstorms. There is a low tide at 7:08 this morning, a high at 1:01 this afternoon, another low at 7:07 this evening, and another high at 1:03 tonight. The sun rose at 5:36 this morning and will set at 6:14 this evening. The moon comes up at 9:44 this morning and goes down at 9:34 tonight. In the tropical weather outlook, at 3 o'clock this morning, Tropical Storm Emily was over the Atlantic Ocean, centered about 1,165 miles west-northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, and was moving to the west-northwest at 12 miles an hour. Also at 3 this morning, newly formed Tropical Storm Gert was over the Atlantic about 455 miles east-southeast of the northern Leeward Islands. Maximum sustained winds were 40 miles per hour, and Gert was moving to the west at 9 miles an hour. At 6 this morning, Tropical Storm Franklin was over the eastern Caribbean Sea, centered about 235 miles south of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Franklin was moving to the west at 12 miles per hour, with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles an hour. And finally, a broad area of low pressure over the central Gulf of Mexico has a high chance of becoming a tropical depression over the next day or two. With that, we end this report from the Belize Weather Bureau.
All right, and that does it for our weather report for today.
Yes, Paul, thank you so much from the Belize Meteorological Service. I know we didn't cover it, but I saw that little the system that's taking place in the Caribbean, and I just wanted to, share with our friends that in California right now they are experiencing Hurricane Hillary, and we just hope that they are safe and that they are prepared for what's to come. It's the first.
It's a strong system.
It is,
right?
I think, Category 3 or Category 4, I believe, and it's the first time California has been experiencing a hurricane since, I think, the past 82 years. So, prepare yourselves. I hope that you all are safe. They also had an earthquake yesterday as well. So, double whammy in one day. So please, everybody, be safe out there. We have a lot of our Belizeans in diaspora in California. So check in with your family and friends.
But April, with that, what we're going to do is we're going to move into our show for this morning in terms of the 3 interviews and discussions we have lined up.
Show today.
We have, starting the conversation, we have a conversation with Dr. Colin Young to talk climate change. And he's, of course, Executive Director of the 5 Cs.
And following that conversation, we're going to take it in, kind of keeping in with sustainability, sustainable climate change, and so forth. And it's all about the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future, and they're going to be opening their grant awards program for 2023. Nice. So they're here to talk about the 2023 grant cycle. And then, the third segment is all about road safety for the September celebrations. You don't know. It's all about roads leading into different communities for September. It does get a little bit crazy, so we want to keep ourselves as safe as possible. But Paul, before we get into all of that and more, we got to take the break, and we'll be back to talk about climate change with Dr. Colin Young. Stay with us.
Getting ready, babe. We're going on a vacation.
Finally, where are we going?
Don't worry, babe. I have we covered.
Are you sure you know where we're going?
Yes, babe. Oh, right there, see? Babe, the price me too good to be true. Me look much more better in that picture.
When life throws you a curveball, Belize Bank has your back. With our online financing, you can turn any vacation mishap into a dream getaway.
Cheers to Belize Bank for making our dream vacation a reality.
Thanks to you, babes, to turn things around.
No thanks to you, cheapo.
Out.
Experience the future of financing with Belize Bank online, where you can secure funds for anything, from anywhere, at any time, all without stepping foot in a bank. Apply for a loan today and unlock a world of possibilities.
Visit Benny's today to get all your household and construction needs, from tiles to paints, electrical and plumbing supplies to power tools, lights and fans to kitchen appliances and faucets, gym equipment to household items. We have what you need. We also offer store-wide promotions for you, our customers, so you can enjoy deals and discounts all year long. To get more value for your purchase, take advantage of Benny's V-Bucks, which is free money. All you have to do is shop at any Benny's location or entity. Stop in at Benny's Home Center on Regent Street, Benny's Bargain Center on Freetown Road, Benny's Superstore 2.5 miles Philip Golson Highway, or Benny's Cayo 43 miles George Price Highway just outside Belmopan. Enjoy special offers, free delivery, and get rewarded with free money when you shop at Benny's today. Benny's, quality and savings.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the short code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
KTV The Remix Season 5, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Pony Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. $3 for children and $5 for adults. Or catch it live on Channel 5, Facebook, and YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. from the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. Don't miss KTV The Remix Season 5. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Welcome back. As we had discussed before the break, that we have the Executive Director of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, Dr. Colin Young, joining us via Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning, April and Paul, and good morning to all the viewing public.
Where in the world are you today?
Unfortunately, fortunately, actually, I'm at home.
Good to good to have you join us this morning, Doc. As we had discussed, you're here to talk to us, yes, about climate change, but we do want to start with the CBUs this morning, and of course, Belize and Channel 5 walked away with about 9 awards and 2 special mentions. So, but before we get into that, talk to us about why the CBUs are important and why the 5Cs endorses and supports it.
Well, good morning. Indeed, and let me start out by saying congratulations to Channel 5 on taking home those 9 awards. I think that's an amazing accomplishment, considering the fact that these awards were open to people across the wider Caribbean. Over 35 million people in the region. So it's CARICOM plus the Dominican Republic and Cuba that were able to participate, the so-called CARIFORUM countries. So we had done some work across the region trying to understand people's understanding, the general public's understanding of climate change and its impacts in what we call these knowledge, attitudes, and practices surveys. We've completed them in about 6 countries across the region. Very, very detailed and systematic exercises. And what we found out actually was quite surprising, that while a lot of people have heard the term climate change, very large segments of the population do not understand what causes climate change and what are the impacts of climate change. And most importantly, they don't understand what they can do to help mitigate the effects of climate change. And so we realized then that there's a huge gap in order to fill this knowledge gap that exists among our populations. And so we decided that it would be absolutely critical to then engage the media as an essential partner in helping to communicate the knowledge and attitudes and practices about climate change across CARICOM. And that is when we decided it would be instrumental for us to partner with the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, which is the largest media association across the entire Caribbean region. And so we entered into a contract with CBU that was sponsored by the EU GCCA project that we are currently managing. And as part of that, we would have sponsored 14 climate change awards in 4 categories of media. So television, radio, print, and digital. The idea is that we wanted to utilize the full breadth of media options for people to understand about climate change. So that is why we are doing this, because we cannot get the message out to our people across the region without the media playing that indispensable role in helping to tell stories about the various impacts of climate change.
Let's talk a bit about the stories that were told and your impressions and the center's impression of the stories that were told. We're talking, of course, about the award-winning stories, but also just in general, the stories that were told and your thoughts on the impact or the effectiveness of those stories.
Well, first, we didn't really know what to expect when we entered into this partnership with the CBU, but we were blown away by the interest. We got 57 entries.
Wow.
Across the region in these various categories I mentioned: television, radio, print, and digital. The most popular of the categories was obviously TV. And the TV spots, the biggest category was in news item. So, which is not particularly surprising, because climate change is having such a devastating impact across the region that it makes the news, whether that is because of a flood, whether it's because of hurricane decimating populations, or whether farmers losing their crops, or whether it is that fires are creating health hazards because of the smoke. So reporters and journalists cover these, what we call these rapid onset events, or these disasters. So, but we were also very heartened by the fact that some of these stories also expressed and showed that solutions were also being utilized across the region. So it doesn't matter whether you live in Trinidad or Suriname or Guyana or Jamaica or Belize or St. Lucia. What you're seeing is that there is an amazing coalescing of these stories around the impacts from climate change, disasters, floods, droughts, and the impacts from hurricane. I think one of the stories Channel 5 would have won was the Monkey River story,
Right.
which no strangers to Belize, and to be able to demonstrate what an entire community is facing in the fight against climate change. And that story is not unique because there are multiple other areas across the region that are battling the same effects of climate change, from rising sea levels and so on.
I think one of the important things about having these awards, April, or having 5Cs involved in these awards at the Caribbean level is the fact that we are the most impacted when it comes to climate change. And if my understanding is correct, we are the least contributors of what leads to this, at least the climate change. And so what it does, it helps, it encourages us, it gives us the incentive needed to continue to tell our stories, to continue to share our experiences with the world. And for journalists and reporters across all platforms, it's encouraging to know that we have centers and organizations like 5Cs behind us, pushing us to tell our stories, and to know that we have platforms like the CBU that can take our stories and show them across the Caribbean, to say this is our collective stories, but also to show them across the world for a larger audience.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my next question, as this is definitely something strong for the Caribbean community. This is something that is displayed across our region. And how often do the larger countries, the other spaces that that are making climate change a little bit more difficult in reducing their carbon footprint, how often do they see these stories, and how often do these stories impact them to make a change in their cultural contributions to climate change, Doc?
I think, Bote, you're absolutely right on point. We made the point at the CBU and my remarks that we have to nationalize these stories, which I think media houses do a very good job at already. And then we have to regionalize them. So that's where we are now with the CBU and reaching the entire Caribbean geography and the space. And then we also have to internationalize them. Right? Because we need to tell those people who are most responsible for causing the effects of climate change. And Paul, you're absolutely right. The entire Caribbean region, over 35 million people, we are responsible for less than 1.5% of the stock of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So we are not causing this, but we need to show the world, especially these entities who are responsible, of what its climate change is causing. It's causing us to lose lives and livelihoods. We're counting the effects in lost lives and lost aspirations and impact on our populations. And one of the best ways to do that is via these stories, whether it is stories of upliftment and hope after a disaster, or whether it's stories of the suffering that is happening across our region among our most vulnerable people, indigenous people, young people, women, youths that are at the front line of this climate crisis that we are experiencing. So if you think about it, and this might sound like a stretch, but it is not. When you look back at the United States in terms of the civil rights era, and all that had happened. For a while, this was pretty local, right? It was happening in a particular area of the US. But once we got TV involved and TV started to show these amazing images of people, pointing fire hoses at protesters and dogs and setting dogs on people, those images started to create the kind of emotive reaction you would expect from people living in the North. And eventually it would lead to the Civil Rights Bill, where slavery was eventually abolished and so on in the U.S. And part of that was a powerful role that the media played in creating this change. And what I'm saying here is that we cannot sell ourselves short. What we need is our journalists, our reporters, our media houses to step up and continue to show these stories that now represents the greatest threat to the sustainable development aspirations of our people. This is the greatest threat of our generation.
So that leads me then, Dr. Young, to discuss COP28 and the challenges that go into this meeting. And I say challenges with a very loose, as a very loose term, because here we are once again. It's like a repeated record, like a scratch record, talking about the exact same issues of smaller countries being affected by the carbon footprint of the larger countries saying they're going to do this and that, and it still hasn't really come to light because they're not, it's not a signed treaty or a forced deal on their part. So what are we striving for yet again, to have these conversations with all of these countries talking about the exact same thing, and not much of it has well, in my view, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but in my view, I'm not seeing the movement the way I think it's supposed to be. Like, I feel like this is a crisis, and I don't know if the other countries are treating it like a crisis.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I think everybody would agree with you from the developing country side, and definitely from the small island developing state side, because we are at the 28th COP, and we are fighting for what ought to be, in our view, justice, and it's not coming at the pace, and it's not coming at the scale that is required. But I like to answer this question by saying, April, is while it's slothful, meaning it's so slow, it is the best option that exists in diplomacy. So as imperfect as it is, there is not another alternative that is going to be better, that is going to move faster, and that can create the kind of global change that we want. So unfortunately, we're stuck in an imperfect, slow system, but the alternative is not going to be any better. And so we continue to fight. You would have seen it took us 27 years to get a loss and damage fund to be approved under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Yes. And we just can't give up hope, because our lives literally depend on it, and the lives of so many millions and millions of people in this region. So we have to continue the fight. We have to continue the pressure. We have to build the momentum and the moral suasion, while at the same time we try to do what we can nationally and regionally to improve the resilience of our populations to climate change. I would say one quick thing in terms of a possible alternative. Antigua and Barbuda, for example, has joined along with the government of Vanuatu to actually get a commission, to set up a commission that is going to explore the legal avenues of how small developing countries can actually take the polluters to court to try to get some sort of compensation for the failure of these countries to act with the urgency.
Wonderful.
So that is one option. Again, that's moving slow because it's international jurisprudence and it's an area that has never really been tested. But in the meantime, I think we have to continue what we're doing. And again, the media has this fundamental role to play to keep this in the forefront, not just in Belize and not just in the Caribbean, but in front of those who are causing the problems in the first place.
Let me just ask a final question for me in terms of the awards and the sponsorships. Is this a long-term agreement, or what's your commitment in terms of continuing to support these wonderful stories by regional journalists?
We want to make this a multi-year event, Paul. This particular project that we are working with is a 12 million euro project that the center is implementing. This project ends next year, and we are committed to finding the resources to maintain the climate change awards on the CBU's awards agenda. In addition to that, we are actually have been holding journalist workshop across the region. So in Antigua and Barbuda, we would have brought journalists from across the Caribbean to actually conduct climate change sensitization training for the media personnel. Because what we realize is that the media personnel is a part of our population, so they suffer from the same challenges with understanding climate change. And so we feel that we just can't ask you to do stories unless we also sensitize and train you as to how to best go about doing these stories and telling these stories and showcasing the issues of climate change. So we've been doing that. We brought journalists from 7-8 countries in Antigua. We've gone to actual countries and do the training for journalists, and we're committed to doing that going forward. We also would like to bring together, if they can find the time, the editors or the producers of the media houses, because we also recognize that where these stories land in on your news, for example, or on the pages of the newspaper or wherever, has a big role to play in terms of who gets to see them.
Yeah.
So if your editors or your producers don't value the role of these stories in highlighting the effects on people, then you either get stuck at the end of the news, or you get to the last page of the newspaper, and so we are trying to. We understand that it's a business, and we understand that media houses have to run as a business. But I think there's a way of perhaps finding a happy middle by having them also understand how climate change is impacting everybody's life.
I like that, Doc. I think you hit the nail on the head there, and I think you're using a bit of your media experience in terms of interviews and seeing where your interviews may land sometimes. Be like, this conversation is important. Why was it in the last block? I should have been up more. But it's so true.
It's so true.
It's so true.
And we sometimes treat climate change just as we treat other stories that perhaps it's not genuinely in our face. We think of it as the last minute kind of story, or we kind of give it a bottom of the barrel kind of segment, because it's not there in our face all the time.
Yeah, and
right?
that's why I'm so glad this type of conversation is happening. Because when this type of conversation starts to happen, it then retrains our psyches and our minds to see the importance of this just as much as the violence that takes place on the street may be taking our lives. These are affecting sometimes more people in terms of entire communities, like Monkey River, for example, being displaced, losing their homes, losing their lands, losing their resources, etc. So when you look at it like that, it's wonderful.
Final question for me, Doc. When and where is COP28, and what is the delegation looking like for Belize?
I'm not sure of the Belize delegation, but I know the 5Cs is going to have a delegation that will be going, and this is going to be in Dubai, COP28, kind of halfway around the world. And it's going to be at the end of November to about, I think, the 12th, 13th of December.
Oh, wow.
And so it's usually 2 weeks. And, again, you're going to have over 190 plus countries that are going to be at the COP. The Caribbean region is always, CARICOM will have its priorities, as we usually do. And again, these are things like April, it sounds like a scratch record, but these are the important areas. We want to ensure that the loss and damage fund is set up and operationalized so that resources could start to flow. We want to ensure that there's going to be enough adaptation financing to help our countries adapt to the effects of climate change. We also have to keep pressure on the developed countries to cut back emissions, because if we continue to proceed as business as usual, we cannot adapt to the effects of climate change, because things are only going to get worse if we reach the 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.8 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of increases in global temperature. So this is two sides of a coin. At the same time, we have to find resources to help our countries adapt to climate change. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, we have to get the developed countries to do more faster, to keep 1.5 alive and to cut back emissions. So as I said, it's think of it this way: you assemble 195 of your friends, and you want to decide what time you're going to go, which restaurant you're going to go, and what food you're going to eat. And all of a sudden you realize that, and the only rule is that everybody has to agree with the choice. And you realize it becomes very difficult to get 195 people to agree on the same thing. And that's what essentially the COP is about, right? It's a fight over language and what you're going to do, and everybody at the end of the day has to agree. If one person blocks it, then you have to find a compromise and a solution that everybody else again have to agree on. So that's why it takes so long. But there's not a better system than this slothful one. So we have to try to maximize the use of it for the benefit of our people and across and the region.
Thank you so much, Doc, for zooming in and talking to us all about the CBUs and the importance of continuing the conversation on climate change. Do have a great day.
And thank you so much, and thank you to Channel 5. And again, a big congratulations to all of the journalists from Channel 5. It was such a pleasure to see Belize showcase on the CBU stage, and particularly Channel 5. I think you have a large number of submissions. And as I said, being there and seeing the submissions from across the region really warmed my heart. And I do hope that we can continue to do this again and keep up the excellent work.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, bye-bye.
And with that, we are going to take another break, and kind of keeping in with the same tune of sustainable living and climate change. We're going to have the folks from the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future join us. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
How does investment services work? For example, Joe's Construction wants to expand its operations by purchasing new equipment and hiring additional staff. How can Joe's Construction get an investment loan? The answer: Investment Services appraises the loan application and focuses on two key areas: adequate collateral and repayability. Investment Services will also consider how Belizeans and the economy will benefit from this new investment through job creation and business growth. The terms and conditions for Joe's Construction loan will be based on the purpose and cash flow. After recommendation and approval, the loan is disbursed. SSB remains committed to proper management of the fund through prudent and responsible investments for the benefit of its beneficiaries, employers, and the Belizean economy. Social Security Board, an investment for you, your family, your future.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marion Alley, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out. All right, and we are back. And of course, this is our second conversation for this morning, and it's all about the Grant Award Program 2023 grant cycle when it comes to the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future. And we have in studio with us Dr. Leandra Cho Ricketts, is Executive Director at the Belize Funds for a Sustainable Future, and Josue Oliva, and he's a Program Manager at the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future. Good morning.
Morning, and thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure as always. Let's start by talking about the Grant Award Program. Is the program open for applicants as yet?
Yes?
Yes, it is, and thank you very much for the question. I was expecting a little bit of starting with about us.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's good. Yes, the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future, and for short, we can call it the Belize Fund.
Mm-hmm.
We have two funding programs, the Government Strategic Allocation and the Grants Awards Program, right? And the focus for today would be the Grants Awards Program. The call for proposal has opened. Actually, it opened on the 4th of August, and it runs through up to the 25th of August. Whereby we're expecting, and yes, we still have this week, 25th, right?
Yeah. The 25th of August, yes.
Correct.
But that's for the concepts.
For the concept stage. So we're working it through a two-step process, whereby we don't want everybody to be writing long, lengthy proposals, and then you don't get it approved, or it's not aligned to our funding thematic areas and requirements as well. So the two-step process is very simple. During this time, we're accepting concept notes, giving us a very broad and focused idea of what you want to do, so that we can review and ensure that it is aligned with what we can fund, and then from there on help you build that proposal.
But sustainability is a very broad topic, right? Yeah. So do you all issue out themes of what you would like to see for the year? How does it work in the sense of how do I write a concept note for this fund?
Okay. So just to give you go back a little bit
Yes.
about the fund, right? So the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future, the name is all related to the fact that this fund, while it focuses on marine conservation, supporting sustainable use of the marine resources, so it's primarily a marine-focused conservation trust fund. The idea is that it's here for the long term. So that's the sustainability, one, but also that we are funding initiatives that will ensure we have sustainable use and development of our marine resources. And I think you should be aware, I hope you are, that the fund was established through the whole Blue Bonds Agreement, right? So we are the fund that's created to manage the payments government provides directly for marine conservation and satisfying those conservation commitments that they signed on to.
What's the budget annually for that?
So annually we receive about 4.2 million US, so 8 million roughly Belize, and of that we have about 3.6 million going directly to the government. That's the government strategic allocation, how we're referred to, and then we have another 3.6 million going into the grants awards program. So roughly. This year is a bit less because we have had some grants being given already, right?
When it comes to the initiatives and the research that persons are to put out there, are they just for academics? Is it can social scientists, can community scientists send in their proposals? Who are you looking for, essentially?
I'll let us wait.
Right.
That's his department.
So it's open. Remember, the way this was structured is because we know that these commitments we've made, or the government has made for us, cannot only be achieved by the government, it has to be achieved by both the government and non-government. That's why we have the gap. So it's open for academia, for non-government organizations, for our social partners as well, for private entities to apply. Of course, there are eligibility criteria that they need to meet. But basically, for this call, and this is what you're referring to, we're focusing on 3 of our 4 thematic areas, which is sustainable fisheries, with the next one would be climate resilience and the blue business innovation. The 4th one that we have, but we're not accepting proposals or concept notes at this stage for it, would be protection for biodiversity. So these 3 are our main focus for this call, right? We're expecting and we're letting the public, and that's why we're here as well, to let them know that this is the opportunity. If you have an idea that can help us improve our fishery stocks, improve the way we deal with or adapt to climate change, or any business idea that is related to the blue economy or blue business as well, then these are the things that we would be looking for.
I like that the whole idea with the businesses. That stands out to me in particular, because oftentimes, I don't know, when certain grants comes out that has to do with conservation, you're thinking, oh, well, I have to be, in a sense, a conservationist, working out there, doing research, and but here you're saying that if you are a part of the blue economy in terms of businesses, you're able to put forth a concept note for a grant.
Correct. Yeah, so if I can just jump in, it's to ensure, it still links back to our mission, right? Because we want to ensure the users are developing businesses sustainably, and that we have a sustainable and vibrant blue economy going forward. So it's a balance between, that's why we have those thematic areas, protecting, conserving resources, but ensuring we can help support projects and the business, well, stakeholders, I don't want to say just business, but stakeholders develop sustainable businesses. So whether it's just more sustainable fisheries-based projects, mariculture, tourism, you know, even transportation, make your marine transportation sustainable in terms of your approach, your resort sustainable in how you develop and run them.
No, because I often think that the persons that are engaged in this sort of work, they know and understand what conservation is. That's their research, that's what they've done, but it would be thrilling to see somebody that's not in the field itself utilize the skills of a conserver to their business or, you know, to their advantage. So that's pretty cool. But I always come across these kinds of these conversations that, like Paul said, people think it's for academics only. And how then do you, or how are you all catering this kind of dialogue to the average community that doesn't really talk about conservation as often as they should?
Right. So to access, we're developing two strategies. I'll have Josue expand on the more immediate one. But in terms of the longer term, we're looking at developing programs that can help with capacity. Because many, yes, if you're not academia, if you're not a well-established NGO, you may not have the ability to define projects, apply, meet the eligibility criteria we have. Because as a fund, we have to ensure accountability, transparency, that these funds we're putting out there, people are effectively managing and delivering on them.
Yes.
And so realizing that maybe community businesses, small-scale businesses may not have that capacity, we are developing a program that will help mentor and build that ability for them to apply directly and fully participate.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we for those who reach out to us, we encourage them to identify intermediaries to apply on their behalf. So entities who meet the criteria in terms of having, well, been established.
Operational.
Right. Registered, operational a year, and have the financial and management capacity.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But for this call, we're also doing some capacity building.
Yes, we are helping out, reaching out as well for partners and letting these know, not only through the media, but also going out there doing outreach. One of the ways we are supporting this as well and ensuring that there are capacities around it is that we have, one, we are going to help the applicants that submit their concept. We'll be providing them with a little workshop, training them on how to write proposals, what is it that we're looking for when you write proposals. So this will be, first we had hoped that it could be for everyone, but then, you know, as we see, there needs to be a limit with how many we can accommodate, and therefore if we're looking, if we're having, depending on the number of concepts that we get, then we'll have to reach out primarily the ones that submitted a concept. That's one. The other, we're also developing a proposal guideline, which is a document that whoever is applying to us can use that as a guideline when writing the proposal, right? So those are the two majors. And of course, the last one, which is I left that for the best for last, is that while they're writing proposals, we'll also have a consultant that if you need assistance in writing and you have submitted a concept and it's something that can be funded by us, then the proposal or the consultant would be looking at this proposal and helping whoever is applying, the applicant, to develop these proposals to be submitted to us.
I think
really
it's
cool.
a great initiative because what it does, it encourages new movements or new initiatives, or not say established, but long-standing initiatives to establish themselves, so that they could receive these types of fundings. I think that we have established initiatives doing great work out there when it comes to sustainability, marine sustainability. And nothing is wrong with the work they're doing, but when they're established, they oftentimes have the upper hand in terms of receiving grant funding. So when you have smaller initiatives, just community initiatives at times don't even realize the impact they're making and the fact that they could actually qualify. You know, it's just a group from the community saying, hey, let's do this along our coast because we realize that erosion is a huge issue. Or when the marine, we realize that there's something wrong with our fisheries, and so we come together as a community and decide that this is how we're going to do this. But for us, it's just practice, day-to-day practice. It's just, we've agreed as a community, and so to have these sort of guidelines and for you guys to step in and say, we want to walk with you along the process so that you could receive this type of funding really helps.
How was the grant cycle last year? Let's talk about the concepts that were accepted and the grants that were given.
Right, so last year we had about 15 applications. We were just starting, that was our first call, so we did not have a two-step process like the one we have right now. So applicants had to develop a full proposal.
Okay.
Out of those, one of the interesting things was that, as you clearly have mentioned, the ones that got the grants are mostly well-established NGOs, right? And of course, it's the way we're structured. That's how it evolved, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're opening these opportunities for others. So yeah.
In terms of well, you said that the deadline is the 25th, right? For the concept note. When we're talking about concept notes and proposals and all of this academic jargon, what is it that they're actually supposed to do? And I'm asking this for persons that are watching and said, but what do they mean by concept note?
Yeah, the concept note is essentially just a short description of the idea you have, what you would, what it is you're thinking about doing in terms of a project. So it's no more than about 4 pages maximum.
Okay.
And we're asking them to provide like a overview of a summary of what the project they're thinking, with like their goals, objectives, a few of the outputs they expect, like what they expect to put out, and a rough budget estimation of what
how much they think
cost.
they would spend.
What's the budget estimate for each grant?
All right, so we have 3 categories that are open for applicants, and the first one is the small grants, which is for $50,000 Belize dollars.
Okay. That's a small grant?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Belize dollars, right? Belize
Where do I
dollars.
sign up?
Right, and it's for a project that should last within a time frame of 1 year.
Okay.
Then we have up to 150,000,
That's the
which
medium
requires
size.
the medium size, and the large. Well, we don't have a specific figure, but
Yeah.
it has to be implemented within a 3-year time frame, right? But don't get too.
I imagine the larger the grant, the more is required, right?
Of course,
Right. You also have that requires a 25% co-financing,
There you go.
committed co-financing.
There you go.
And how do you, I don't want to say the word manage, but how do you follow up on the project itself once the grants have been distributed?
Right. So right now, the way we're working is that we've developed processes and open up online platform for them as well to apply, as you have seen on our call. We have a monitoring officer that is helping with the monitoring of these projects. And also, as we start, and this is managing the first batch of projects, we are doing the first visits and ensuring that everything is put in place so that when they start that track, they can keep up, right? So that's one of the ways that we have been managing it from a financial and from a technical standpoint. But definitely we're expecting that once we have started this trend with them, they can take it on themselves. Of course, we're dealing, as we have known, with organizations that are well established, that know how to manage grants, know how to implement projects.
Can I switch gears a little bit just to ask about the other side of the coin that you guys deal with? You mentioned it earlier, and that has to do with government-specific projects. What's the strategy for selecting those projects and funding them?
Okay. So the government strategic allocation is a portion that's dedicated for the government.
Yes, that's a larger portion.
Not necessarily. It's a equal portion of what is invested, but it's not a competitive process per se. It's monies government should be receiving to help the country achieve the commitments, right? Because these commitments we've signed on to require support.
Of course.
And they provide proposals. But right now we're working with 3-year work plans where they define for 3 years the various activities they'll be working towards the commitments on. And that's managed through one main government unit, the Blue Bonds and Finance for Permanence unit. So they coordinate all that funding, and they manage it and disperse it to the implementers. And whatever government agencies are involved in implementing currently, we have the Coastal Zone Management Authority, the Fisheries Department, Coast Guard, Forest Department, High Seas, and then the unit itself receives funding for this coordination.
So the proposals goes to the Blue Bond unit,
from their agencies.
From their
yes.
agencies.
And then they submit it
They
to
submit
us.
to you guys, and then you guys disperse the
We
funds
review
to
and
them.
approve. Correct.
Right.
And
Remember,
then
we're
they distribute it.
custodians. We're
Right, you're
of these
custodians at
funds.
the end of the day.
So we have to ensure that whatsoever that they are submitting are aligned with achieving these commitments, and that's the overall focus of that. So that when they submit their proposal, we have to review. Of course, it has to go through a technical review on the board, but then that they receive the fund.
Why is this initiative so important, Doc? Why are we engaging in this to give our Belizeans this opportunity, and why should they apply?
Well, you know, we are a country that's very dependent on our natural resources, and especially our marine resources, our tourism. And we saw in COVID that a lot of income came through tourism, and we know marine resources are very dependent in terms of the tourism industry, but fisheries. We have a lot of aquaculture also based on, so there's a lot of economic opportunities and livelihoods depending on our marine and coastal resources. So having such a fund that provides long-term funding to support both management at the government level, at national level, and stakeholder use and management is very important, because before, it's not that the funding has ended all our funding needs, but it's at least a good start. It's a dedicated portion to help us be able to achieve the targets we as a country have set for how we use our marine and coastal resources. And we're really excited and hoping to see more access and involvement by the stakeholders, the people who rely directly on these resources. And that's why, you know, we learned from our first year, and we're trying to develop programs now that can help them better access it.
It's always exciting, April, to know that these types of initiatives exist.
Yes.
Because it's so important that the work that is being done out there by private citizens as well as by the government, that these work are being funded, that they're being financed, and to have an initiative like this financing, at least in part, these works by the government as well as by these various NGOs, that they have access to this type of finance. It's exciting to know that works in terms of marine conservation can continue to take place. And so kudos to you guys in terms of being custodians of this type of fund.
I wanted to ask, I know that we're quickly running out of time, but in terms of so after the concept note is provided, how long do you all take to review and vet, and then, because they have to also submit a proposal afterwards, right. So how do they know?
So the deadline for that would be the 8th of September. We have 2 weeks internally to do a review. Remember, this is a stage where we're not reviewing full technical documents. It's a stage where we just ensure that they're aligned with our thematic areas, and ensuring that they have 2 of the 3 eligibility criteria, which is they're registered in Belize, and that they have been operational for over a year. 1 year since they apply, right? So by the 8th of September, that's the short answer.
And then afterwards, they submit a proposal due the 24th of September.
No.
The 3rd of November.
3rd of November. Okay, they get more time.
They get 2 months roughly to develop the full proposal.
Right, and they won't be doing it by themselves. Remember, we will be liaising with them throughout that process and providing them with assistance, consultancy assistance, to develop this in a technical way as well.
So if you out there have an organization or an NGO or a business that has done substantial initiatives within the blue economy, the marine and fisheries industries, please send your concept notes to
the Belize Fund, or BF. You could look for us at our website, bfsf.bz. It's a bit at this time.
And they can submit online these concept
be a platform,
notes.
right? We're also on social media for them. Facebook and Instagram.
Under the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future. Guys, please apply. The deadline is August 25th, 24th for the concept note. And if you just have a great idea, send it in. Really and truly, you have nothing to lose by just applying. So Thank you all, Dr. Cho Ricketts, and thank you so much, Mr. Oliva, for coming in this morning. Final words?
Well, we look forward to proposals, concepts coming in, and especially from stakeholders, from communities, groups, and the fishing sector in as much as possible.
Yes, guys, please apply. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
And we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to switch gears, Paul, into, we kind of get unruly for September celebrations. We kind of get loud, kind of get lawless and busy. And so we're going to have the folks in from the Transportation Department and from the Belize Police Department to tell us how to be safe for September celebrations. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
KTV The Remix Season 5, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Pony Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. $3 for children and $5 for adults. Or catch it live on Channel 5, Facebook, and YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. from the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. Don't miss KTV The Remix Season 5. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Francis Rennell Concert Series is back and presents the Electric 80s. Join us at the Bliss Center for 2 nights of colorful performances, starting on Friday, September 1st at 8 p.m. and also Saturday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. Come out as vibrant voices whisk you away, back in time with celebrated 80s hits. Tickets are available at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts and are $25 for general admission, $40 reserved, and $50 premium. For more information on how to get your tickets, contact 600-7453. Join us for the fun. Join us for the flair. Join us on September 1st and 2nd for an electric event of 80s musical magic. Sponsored by BTV, NCC, Travelers Liquors, Puma, Full Tech Systems, and the Angelus Press Limited. Partners with BEL, Smart, Niche, and PUC.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit, do a SIM swap, or text in to the short code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back to our third segment. And if you're joining us right now, we are getting into road safety for September celebrations. And joining us in studio, we have our traffic warden, our second traffic warden, Marlon Miranda. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having us, for having me here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, first of all, I want to give God thanks for the privilege to be here, right?
Yeah.
And of course, thanking our chief, our deputy chief and acting chief at this time, Mr. Williams, for the opportunity to represent the department.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. As we are getting into, yes, we're here to talk primarily about road safety for September celebrations, but I want to touch base on just road safety in general because, you know, as Paul and I were mentioning this weekend, we have had fatalities, not just this weekend, but I feel like almost every other day we're reporting on a traffic incident or somebody getting into some kind of accident on the highway or in the city. Let's talk about the efforts of the traffic department and how you all are able to liaise on these kinds of matters.
Well, first of all, we know that at the Department of Transport, as well with the police, we have effortlessly tried to deter bad practice and behavior. Whilst your question is, what are we doing or how are we trying to prevent these things? I must say before I answer the question that we cannot prevent any bad behavior because that is a choice.
Yeah.
If there is one thing I've learned during my tenure, not only as transport, but as an individual, is that there is only one thing God gave us, and it's free will. Right? And so, as much as we educate people, my mom used to always say this, my picnic, all of my picnic as far as I can see them. Right? And as much as drivers would give us a good impression, maybe at the offices, at the checkpoints, when they leave, that one different ball game. Right? So what are we doing as a department? We are currently engaging with the police department. We are engaging in road checks. Most frequent, most importantly also, we have our motor vehicle inspectors who have been tasked to check detailed and thoroughly the vehicles whilst going to license, because you know the problem is not solely on the road and traveling. The problem stems in the conditions of vehicles also.
Yes.
So more than just road checks, we want to try to educate the people. You know, one of the things that this is one of the accomplishments that we are going to touch on as well is the driver's manual. That's what we are going to call it now, that has been recently established. And of course, there's going to be a presentation of that in I guess, sooner than later. But I think that the responsibility lies not only on the transport personnel, but mostly on the drivers. Right? I think that there are too many drivers who are not aware or are simply ignorant to most road rules. And rules are not bad. Just like how the public would look at us on the road, we are not the best friends of the public.
Yeah, of
when they
course
see
not.
we on the road, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, these people again.
Ready for your come with your face make up.
Yeah.
Well, not tell me this time.
Yeah, you're already angry.
Yeah.
They have the impression that, listen, we could get across these vehicle checks.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. I know that one. I could call that one. And the problem really stems not only at the bottom, but the problem stems all the way to the top. Where some could get away with certain things and the others can't get away with certain things. And my plea to all my co-workers along with the municipal traffic is that we go across the board, right? Without fear or favor, because that has been a cancer, not only in the Department of Transport, but in every other department.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So I might be pinpointed for what I'm saying, but we've got to lay the truth as it is.
No, I agree with you 100%. And you made mention of rules, and we'll go back to that. But first, let me ask. You talked about the driver's manual.
Yes.
What is it exactly? Is it a Bible for drivers?
Well, we won't call it that for driving because initially, well, from I know myself, Creole would have said from King Hatchet was a hammer.
Yeah.
You only have the driving test.
The test,
right?
Yes. And once you take that,
and then they have one paper for study,
okay,
whereby you memorize that, of course,
Yeah.
because they don't learn it.
Yeah.
It's like school.
Yeah,
You
it's
memorize just for pass.
Just for pass.
And after that, I get my license and I'm good. So now the department is diligently looking now how to deter this memorizing process and trying to not only have a manual, but trying to establish schools, like in the schools, trying
like
to
an academy.
establish, right. And so teachers, of course, some teachers had been trained also.
Yeah.
And so that is, with the Ministry of Education, they want to incorporate that in the school, in the curriculum, right? Because I'll say this, if you want to stand corrected on the road, have a child that has just been taught in school about safety. Then we'll remind you every other.
You're not supposed to do that. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
Mommy, you just run a red light and a red means
Right,
stop.
right.
Or why you not have on your seat belt?
Yes.
We thought you're supposed to have on your
Correct.
seat belt.
Yes.
And so that is one of the ways. They say you want to get to parents, touch their kids.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
So that's the approach also that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now you said rules, and rules are important. And one of the main reasons why rules are important is to help us avoid getting into what can oftentimes be fatal accidents on the highway, or causing a harm to yourself or to others, the injuries, etc. Let's talk about what a year it has been in terms of traffic accidents and traffic incidents, and what is the statistics showing about how this year is playing out?
I'm glad you asked the question with respect to fatalities we're going to talk about, because minor incidents, you have a lot. You have a lot.
Every day, right?
And so I'll take this opportunity also to say that the insurance gone up sky high. We don't want to touch that, right? But the claim is that everything gone up and a lot of incidents are taking place, so they rocket up the price,
Of
right?
course.
But with respect to the fatalities, I sectioned off some of it because it is lengthy, but fatal incidents and its causes, we have out of 85 for the year, 25 were caused by drivers' negligence. That's the highest among a lot of diverse reasons. 10 were hit and run, and 19 were a total loss of control. So what we see spiraling is negligence. Negligence can happen in various forms. Negligence can vary from having a love conversation with your wife and you just talk and bam,
You look
all of a
viral.
sudden something just comes up. It comes with probably people like install these DVD things in their in their vehicles.
And now a lot of vehicles come with a screen in the middle.
Right, right. And these things, they say technology is going to take us a long way, but I beg to differ in a lot of cases. Because whilst it diminishes your thinking ability, it also is a great distraction.
It's awareness.
I have a question, right? So, what in the laws, in our traffic laws, right? We only have the one person is always at fault, right? But there's always going to be somebody have to take the blame. But in some incidents, and I will say this very carefully, where you have the average village dog that comes out onto the highway and for sake of not wanting to hit the dog, you swerve, right? And other times, the dog moves away and then come back like a suicidal dog. Come back and then you again, right? So in these instances, and somebody always say, but you're still at fault. What happens then? How do the laws, how do our traffic laws try to assist these kinds of incidents?
Well, one of the things that I've recently noticed was signs being placed up with different animals and zones and so forth. And as much as we can't control that,
We need one for village dogs.
we can't control the impulses of an animal because if we can't control humans, much lesser animals. So my advice, one of the something will have to be sacrificed. And in my humble opinion, you could always buy one next dog. It might hold sentimental value, but you can't buy one life.
I agree with you.
Right. So I'd prefer hitting the dog as much as I don't want to, but I'd prefer that than to have to go and answer charges for a life.
It's almost like an ethical or a moral dilemma. Which decision should be made? And I agree with you. But you were going through the statistics, and I'd like for you to continue on that path. You said that there was a percentage that had to do with negligence. Can you continue?
Now the incidents, the fatal incidents, and the vehicles, the type of vehicles that were involved, out of 128 incidents, I'm going to touch the highest percentage. Bicycles, 27 of them were involved.
Out of 128 incidents in terms of what type of incident? Fatal?
Fatal.
For the year?
Yes, for the year.
Okay.
These information, of course, were provided to us by the Belize Road Safety Management. Now, cars were 11, like normal cars.
Bicycles are more?
Oh, yeah. And we'll touch on that as well. Motorcycles were 27. That's another topic to itself.
Yeah, that's another topic to itself.
Heavy equipments, big trucks, we had 14, and SUV vehicles, we had 26.
Wow.
Wow. So in total, how many fatal traffic accidents has occurred from January to now?
An exact figure, I would be lying if I give you an exact figure, but an estimate, it would probably be, I wouldn't think more than 50.
Okay.
I wouldn't think it is up there like that. Don't quote me on that.
I won't.
But that's where I believe we are. I mean, I think as a country, people are not scared of the laws, but they are scared to die. And,
interesting.
Whilst they are not afraid of the laws, they don't want to die. It's like they say everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want dead. All right, so they go hand in hand. If I want to live, I must abide. Right? And the laws were given primarily by God, and if we follow them, we'll have long life.
No, but the time is running out, Paul, and I know there's so much that I want to touch on, but I'm glad you laid these foundations out, because one of the things that we always try to touch here on the morning show when we're having big events, Easter, Christmas, New Year's, are safety tips.
Right.
And now we're venturing off into September. Where it's not just, you know, Carnival and the 21st, but we're looking at the September celebrations calendar, and there are various events happening throughout the entire month all over the country, right? So I'm glad you laid the foundation so that people can understand that this is where we are right now, and this is where we're not trying to go. So for September, can you provide us with some of the safety tips that the traffic department is outlining?
Before I touch that, I just wanted to give a comparison with the fatalities between the sexes, male and female.
Okay, there you go.
I see your face changed. But in terms of sex, out of 103, what would you, or who would
what
you
type of
say?
guess would I hazard?
Yeah.
You are getting me in a trouble with April, so I just had you points. I make April answer that one.
Answer it, he's the expert. Man like be crazy, so I want to say that men have the higher incidence than women. But man like say that woman can't drive, so I want also not say nothing. And I'll let the expert tell me.
So out of 103 fatalities, 87 were male.
Wow.
And you can do the math for female, which is only 16. Right? So that speaks volumes in terms of where we want to go now with safety tips.
Yeah, and who should we target?
Right, in September. No, so we as a department, there is basically limited information we can give the public that they don't already know. What we are asking is, more importantly, is don't drink and drive.
I hear that every
time. I am a firm believer in abstinence. I won't advise anybody to take one or two, any at all. That's not even for drive, that's health.
I was just going to ask us, some people say not even one. What if I just one? I can handle one.
And I want to share with you biblical perspective in terms of wine. Proverbs 21 says wine is a mocker. And it says beer is a brawler. Whosoever partakes in them is not wise.
Right.
So when I read this, what came to my mind was wine is a mocker. You know why that Bible verse says that? Because the alcohol concentration, if you take one beer and you blow, you're over the limit. So it mocks you. It makes you think I'm not bad. But in reality, when you go to court, you lose. So it mocks you. It takes you. It take your make puppy shot and you know. So what I'm saying here is drinking and driving, cut it out. You know, I know people want to celebrate and they want to be a part of society. That's what we call it. Because for the most part, man, I'll be honest, when I see people drink, I see them make up their face. So I say, what's the sense in this? You know? So, I mean, I really don't understand why. I don't think that you need to drink to socialize.
No, you don't.
But the ability to think as a whole has been diminished. We think that we must have drinks to say what we want to or be happy. And that's not the case. You know, I think that we just lazy if we think and have decent conversations without having to have drinks. You know, I'd prefer to eat. I want to eat, and when we belly full, we can't. There is a limit to that.
When you belly full, you're happy too.
And so, what are we doing now in September? We are coming together with the police department. We are strengthening right now with the police department to have joint operations. And that is what I want to mention, that during the month of September, we will be out. And we'll be out countrywide. More than the regular. So I'm asking the public, let's be friends. Right? And if with enough friends, September we'll definitely be friends, because we're going to be out every day.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting and greeting, you know. Safety tips. Check your vehicle. You know, our dearest said that females can't drive. And but I'm not stigmatic in terms of sexes and driving. I think that females, what I would do is teach females how to check vehicles. All right? Because whilst I do think that females are careful drivers, then just drive hard. Then drive hard, but they're the most fragile thing I know are females. So they're afraid to crash.
Yeah.
So females not a drive figure crash. So let us be proactive in teaching our females now how to check vehicles. How can I check my water? How can I check my oil? You know, how can I check tires? How can I check my brakes lights? You know, teach them how to reverse. You know, these are tips that we can take and go a long way.
Yeah.
Because females are more detailed than males. That is the truth.
Yeah.
So if we teach females this, I think we're going to be avoiding a lot of mishaps on the road. Not only that, but we also need to check our seat belts. You know, a lot of seat belts are just in a vehicle for style.
Yeah.
This is a sad comparison, but I'll make it. Seat belts are like Bibles in homes. They're full of dust. And it's the same with the seat belt. What is to give us life we don't like to use? And that is a new legislation also that I wanted to touch on about the cabinet has approved the usage of seat belts. It's not only driver and passenger now, but it has been approved that all passengers must use seat belt. Not only on highways, but on all roads now. So that is a accomplishment by the department as well. No? And also there is a new legislation with respect to electronic devices. Belize for too long has been neglected in terms of enforcing driving and texting. We always hear it, don't drive and don't text. But what is there to hold people accountable? You know, so there has been a new legislation. The AG has everything, and when that is finalized, it is going to be revealed to the public. But of course, we'll have public awareness as well.
Yeah, of course.
Educating the people. What we are trying to encourage is drivers to have assistive devices. You know, have your headphone, Bluetooth headsets, and so forth. Now, so that is a new legislation. And speed guns, a topic, a very controversial.
Continues to take place.
Yeah, but that is one of the accomplishments that I wanted to touch on, because it has been approved by cabinet now that the previous ones that we had, they weren't admissible. And so cabinet has approved, and the name now is TrueCam. And so now it is going to be used and implemented. And we're hoping that we have the support, not because we don't want to have encounters, but because you can save lives. You can save your own. All right. There is a ongoing, what you call it, like a trial, but mostly in the Belmopan, Cayo area, where it is currently being tested.
Okay.
And so some refreshers are being prepared by Mr. Williams, so that officers can familiarize themselves more with it. And of course, we have our the department's prosecutor. That is another accomplishment. So we are serious about having people in full compliance of the law. So we are now you know, just get one ticket and say, well, nobody and do me nothing, and no, it doesn't work like that now. So we have a prosecutor that is actually diligently getting his task and his job done. So many people have been taken and are being taken to court for the malpractices that they
Mr. Miranda, well, we had to thank you for coming on set. I love your expressiveness.
I think we need you to come back and have another discussion.
Able to just break down these concepts and these topics for us to completely understand and appreciate road safety.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're completely out of time, and so that's the extent of this conversation for this morning. But once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Paul, we got to take the break, and we'll be back for a wrap-up. Stay with us.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the short code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
It's good to keep the environment clean. BSWAMA, step up the pace. They're going places to manage your waste. So make we stand and make well sure. No garbage left on the seashore. The whole of Belize we stay clean, cause we know say worth much more. We have pretty environment. So when you see the garbage on the ground, go after me and just bag it on.
Cleanliness has always been second nature to us, so let's work together to keep our surroundings beautiful and healthy.
No garbage in it.
Get ready, babe. We're going on a vacation.
Finally, where are we going?
Don't worry, babe. I have we covered.
Are you sure you know where we're going?
Yes, babe. Oh, right there, see? Babe, the price me too good to be true. Me look much more better in that picture.
When life throws you a curveball, Belize Bank has your back. With our online financing, you can turn any vacation mishap into a dream getaway.
Cheers to Belize Bank for making our dream vacation a reality.
Thanks to you, babes, to turn things around.
No thanks to you, cheapo.
Ouch.
Experience the future of financing with Belize Bank online, where you can secure funds for anything, from anywhere, at any time, all without stepping foot in a bank. Apply for a loan today and unlock a world of possibilities.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. As we're wrapping up our Monday morning show, we want to thank all of our guests for coming in this morning, and we also want to thank you, the viewers, for staying with us as we discuss these extremely important topics. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always drop us a line right here at oye@channel5belize.com, and you can also catch our live stream on Facebook every day at Open Your Eyes BC, and catch all of our highlights on our Instagram page at OIE Belize. And please tune in again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you again tomorrow, Belize. Stay safe, stay dry. Have a great day. Bye.
Peace.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.